Welcome to the Soulful Mystics podcast. I'm Steph.
And I'm Julie, and we are intuitive hypnotists, sharing our journey along the way.
Hey Mystics, Steph here. I am recording this on my 35th birthday, which is my year of the 8. My birthday ritual shifts every single year as I evolve and grow. This year, I did some yard work. I've been working on connecting to Mother Earth and grounding through nature more. I set the intention that all the things I do today will continue to bring me joy, healing, abundance, and new connections. The 8 is the infinity symbol, which represents the endless cycle. It also represents new beginnings, rewards, and learning to create balance in our lives, which is something that I really need. Not following what's on the outside, but listening more to what's within. I feel like I've been working on that for quite a while, so this is the year that I really master it. I really do resonate with the year of the 8. I am excited and grateful for this new chapter. The last half of my year of 7 was the hardest of my entire life. Year of 7 is all about solitude, spiritual awakening, inner workings, spiritual self. And with that work does come difficulty because it's all the deep stuff coming to the surface. So it's safe to say that that came with a bang. My intention for this year is to stay grounded, to find balance, and to learn more about myself and how I can truly honor my mind, body, and soul as one. And I am working on the podcast today because, like I said, anything that I do today, I am setting the intention that it continues to bring me that joy and new connections, especially with the pod. This episode is really close to my heart, and I can say that this work I've done so far on this episode has been the highlight of my birthday. So I'm really grateful. And by doing this today, I'm setting even more intention for this year to bring more magical possibilities and to meet more of you out there. If you have a birthday ritual, please send us an email or reach out on Instagram. I love to hear it, and I know Julie does too. So this episode will be a little bit different. And the reason why connections is so important is because this podcast brought us this amazing guest, Jennifer Engler. I hope I'm saying that right, Jennifer. So Julie and I invited Jennifer to chat with us about our soul sessions that she facilitated for us. To say that Jennifer is magical is an understatement. First of all, the way that she facilitates these sessions it's beautiful, it's compassionate, and in both Julie and I's experience, extremely accurate. The amazing healing and insight Julie experienced through her soul session with Jennifer made me really want one as well. We will be sharing Jennifer describing her process when facilitating a soul session and some of what Julie experienced. I do want to apologize. The audio was not great at times. Not sure what happened, but I did cut a lot of that out and kept the really important stuff. We actually recorded this conversation in February, right before all of my major life transitions began to unfold. And because of that, I didn't have the time or energy to edit this episode to release it. And then I was procrastinating editing it after I finally got settled into my new home, which is not something that's typical of me. When I finally sat down to re-listen and edit, I understood why. I really didn't or don't recognize that version of me. And I didn't feel like it was right sharing that version of me today. So I did cut a lot of what I said out at the time because I didn't even realize at that time how much this soul session really resonated. And I'm doing this now, I think, divine timing, because so much has unfolded since recording this conversation. And in listening to that past version of me, I'm really grateful for all the things that have transpired to lead me to who I am today, and that will continue to lead me down this path of discovering this new version of me. So I decided to re-listen to my soul session recording to share with you, as well as Jennifer, how it all resonates with me now. And that's when I started really connecting all of the pieces. A lot of what she said didn't resonate fully, completely at the time. I wanted those things to resonate. I wanted those things to exist in that moment. But as she said in the session was, it's coming. It's not here yet, but it will be here. So I don't think I remembered fully everything that she said about the future me. And so I am really excited to share all of that with you. Right now, I'm going to plug in the chat we had, Julie, Jennifer, and I, and then I will share all those things with you.
I feel like everything that I've been going through it leads me back to my soul session with you, Jennifer, because
Yeah.
it was all about heart healing. And that's something that I've been focusing on. And I was even telling Steph that I've been moving through all this energy was making room. And I feel like this is
Yes.
exactly what it was making room for.
Yeah,
Divine
that's
timing.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels so true.
100%. I remember when you first got the soul session done with Jennifer, it opened up so much. It was really beautiful to witness all the things that you were able to work through, as well as all the things that Jennifer was able to validate for you and give you specific details that you haven't been able to get anywhere else. And Jennifer, can you explain your process with a soul session or anything you want to share about your soul sessions?
Yeah, it's a process that I learned from my teacher here. Her name's Cindy Lehman. And it was a long process to learn it. And I'm glad that it was because Julie later mentioned kind of how, I don't know, quickly I can go into trance. And I think that's testimony to her teaching because the class I teach now is kind of the foundation. And then I took a couple channeling classes from her. And then I took the how to learn how to do the soul sessions. I go into trance, and then when I ask to connect with you and you give me permission, it brings me such joy because I really get to step into the world of your higher self and your guides and ancestors and whoever you call forward. And I don't have a lot of recollection of the details. When you repeat things back to me, they can start to come forward. But there are some somatic and sometimes visual things that stick with me. And so I go into trance and then ask for permission and then ask you, however I open it, and I just sort of go with what feels right. How can I be of service? Where do you want to start? Whatever kind of comes, and then we go from there. And I know I said to both of you, it's a dialogue. So I really want you to tell me it's resonating, it's not, because then it helps me bring the information through more accurately. But what is still here with me is your grandmother, and I feel as if still in my head I'm holding a photograph of her because she just was such a visual image for me, and I don't always get visual images. And I do remember, it is not a word I use, I called her a stunner, and I was like, that feels like language of the day. Like she would have been, ooh, that Lucille is a stunner. I can't say her name in French. She was just so strong of an energy. And I don't remember exactly what she said, but I felt like, there are times where I felt like I was lecturing you, but it was her. But what was so interesting about you, Steph, is like, my eyes are closed the whole time. And so I'm not even sure what I'm picking up on, but you were responsive. You were saying that resonates, that doesn't, you were giving me back information, but your energy felt so protected to me than I've otherwise experienced it, either listening to the podcast or seeing you in kin or wherever. And I just kept going, just trust, just have faith, let go, just going deeper into trance. Were you feeling that way?
I was, because I didn't want to interrupt the process, but also I'm afraid of her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she has stepped up to be one of my main guides, and I've been reluctant to call upon her because she was not a pleasant human to me in this life. I think I was scared to hear what she thought of me. But the way that you described her made me change that perspective. Everything you said was so beautiful.
It just makes me feel cozy inside. I love it.
The one thing I want to say about your soul session is I've had a lot of readings, and I have been told, even by Jude from Spirit Speakers, I have been told by so many different people that I carry grief in my heart. And I never understood what that meant, where it came from, the root cause of it, nothing until your soul session. And I feel intuitives, they can get information, but maybe a way that they're relaying it, it's not as deep as where you went, because you took me through different scenes in my lifetime and brought up things that I didn't even remember myself. You connected with someone who's very special to me and described this person to a T. You also described my connection to him, how there's a cord connecting him and I together. Just the way that you described it, it made so much sense to me, because this is someone who is, my whole life, he was the one person I felt he was all I ever had. And I mean, not only did you help me understand where it was coming from, but you also explained to me that I don't have to cut the cord if I don't want to, but instead of soaking up all these sad feelings, this trauma and grief and all the sadness, instead I could take the love that I have for him and I can pour that into the cord. And that is something I have never forgotten. And our session was a few months ago. I think it was like September or October something. And I think about your session all the time. Even afterwards, I've talked on the podcast about heart healing. I could feel the ache. I could feel the pain in my heart physically. And I know you could too. But I felt that for days after. And even, I've talked before too about how I've been so out of touch with emotions for so many years, but I cried for days after that session and it carried on. So, like, what we started in our session has carried on even until now, even until like the things that have transpired in my life, even yesterday, is just amazing. And when you're in it, you can't see it. But now that I'm a few months past it and everything that's happened, when I say I'm feeling low energy or I just have no energy or I'm feeling disconnected, it's like I'm finally starting to understand my body, my energy field is working through something. It's releasing something and making room for something new. And that's what happened yesterday, but I'm not going to share that with the world yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you both. This is just amazing because I have no idea how they land for you in the moment, afterwards. And then as you're describing, Julie, the unfolding over months, kind of like what happens with hypnosis sessions, past life regressions in particular. So it's just such a beautiful opportunity to hear you both process with me, kind of how you experience them in the moment and then time after. And I really look forward to seeing what happens for you, Steph. And so thank you both for sharing, because I do have a longing to do them and I do have joy in them.
Okay. In January, Jennifer facilitated that soul session for me right before Max and I were going to visit the house. So Max and I have been working towards buying a country home with a few acres for about 9 years. We were taking our time because we wanted this home to be our forever home, a place that we can build into a sanctuary for ourselves as well as animals. So we also wanted it to be a place that we can eventually host mini healing retreats and have a mini healing center somewhere with water and forest and within nature. So Jennifer was not aware that I was going to see a house right after the session. She had no details on where we were looking or what we were even looking for. During the session, she brought up my paternal grandmother right away. I was told by Meredith from Earthling Astrology that my paternal grandmother was coming in to be one of my main guides at this time, and she was meant to guide me towards my future property to help me create a space for rescue dogs. So that really piqued my interest. She continued to describe how my grandmother was having her fly above the land. And Jennifer said it seemed like she was saying I would need to be open to places I would have never thought or considered. She took us a distance away from where I was living at the time, and she said relocation to a brand new land to me. She said it felt like a whole new landscape from what I've lived on in the past. One of the messages was to be open to something I couldn't have imagined living in. She did say it didn't feel too far off, but definitely a different kind of place and city. And she said, you haven't been there yet. So during the session, I didn't mention that I was about to visit a home, and we closed off that home as a possibility, even though it checked all of our boxes and more, because it was out of the locations we wanted to live. So we were really just going to visit it because we needed that spark of motivation to keep looking. So after having that session, I was pumped. I was excited. I felt like maybe this was it. Maybe we would get there and realize that, you know what, it's not too far. We could do this. Driving there was magical. I closed my eyes and I could feel my grandma flying above, guiding us there, just like Jennifer described in the soul session. The landscape on the drive over is gorgeous. I'm so glad I wasn't the one driving because I've never seen so many beautiful visuals of mountains and lakes and trees, keeping in mind that this was in the wintertime. So I couldn't even imagine what it looked like in the summer or fall. Then we got to the house and it felt like home. There was no one living there all winter. We couldn't even explore the full property, basically none of it because of the snow. But we knew it was perfect. The only thing I was really worried about was Roxy. She was 16 years old and completely blind. I was hesitant to move her into a new house with a lot of potential hazards for her to navigate. So we decided to put an offer, and if it was meant to be, it would be, and we would get our dog trainer to help us teach Roxy how to navigate that new home and to teach us how to make it safe for her. Well, this house was on the market since summer. There were barely any visits. There was 0 offers. But of course, once we put an offer, someone else did as well. And they had the better offer because ours was under the condition that we sell our current home. So we were not accepted, and I was devastated. I won't go into too many details because I did tell this story on the podcast, but I didn't share the portion about Jennifer's soul session. So, long story short, we ended up a month later getting a call and we got the house. We moved out so quickly. Within a month, we had sold the house and were moved in. And within a month of moving in, we lost Cooper. I am so grateful that he had a month to experience the beauty and the peace of this magical space. For the last 16 years, I was Roxy's mom. The last 9 years, I was Cooper's mom and a homeowner of a cute small town home with my partner Max. I worked at a spa for the last 3 years, and all of those things changed within a month and a half, and it was really hard to really grasp all those changes, and I felt like I lost my identity. In the soul session, Jennifer mentioned that my energy felt good and safe, and there was enthusiasm and excitement to find our new home, but she felt an anxiety and a fear of taking that leap because my soul knew that it would be a whole new chapter, a chapter completely different from anything I've lived so far. She said that once that leap is taken, I would be making the decision to move into that next chapter. And by doing that, I'd be releasing the fears that were holding me back because they would no longer align with the chapter I'd be moving into. She said that my grandma was showing her my root chakra, which is safety, security, home. And in that alignment, my leap around home and security will be shifted drastically, and this location and move will be that leap. She said it'll get easier after relocating, but that it would be a start of a whole new version of me, someone who will be more integrated. And then she reminded me that I am the creator of my own security. And here's a short clip of Jennifer describing this new version of me in the soul session.
Yeah, so I'm almost feeling like it's a whole new version of you who, because you're more integrated, can take this leap around security because you know that security is what you can create for yourself, and that you'll have more assurance both in body and soul that you are the creator of your security. It's not tied to a place or a space or a land or even a specific like home or residence. I just like this version of you. It's very you're very powerful. You're very strong, you're very assured.
I am so glad that these soul sessions bring you joy, Jennifer, because it is something that I needed, that Julie needed, and the world needs. And I know it seems a bit dramatic. Maybe it is. I don't know. I like being dramatic sometimes. But I don't know that I would have taken that leap to buy this house if I didn't meet with you that morning. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart, not only for that amazing soul session, but for being such an amazing friend and human. The soul session with Jennifer opened my mind to the possibility of relocating to a whole different city and encouraged me to give myself the permission to release that past version of myself and to grieve, heal, and integrate her. And then to create the version of myself that I want to create to get to know this new version of me. What I love, what I'm letting go of, what I'm passionate about, and what no longer resonates. And she gave all of this to me before I really understood where it was coming from or what it meant. And so re-listening to this soul session opened my eyes to everything else that was packed in to that hour. I am a completely different person already. I am definitely more aligned, and I feel powerful on now most days. I still struggle a lot with all the loss and changes, but I understand myself and my journey on a whole new level, and I'm more and more grateful for those changes every day. I found parts of myself that I never knew existed. I learned things about myself that I would proudly write into the book of my journey in this new chapter. I have the skills and the space to create something amazing and beautiful, and it's time to begin creating the life that I want and bringing in that strength and power that I know resides within. Grieving was very, very difficult for me, but I made it through the hardest parts with the support of Max, my family, my friends, Julie, Jennifer, Gina, Tamara, Mary. So many more amazing souls continued to light the way for me when I couldn't light it for myself. Julie and I also took Yusui Holy Fire Reiki 1 and 2, taught by Jennifer. She is an amazing teacher and has so much knowledge. We are actively practicing and will be offering Reiki healing soon enough. Julie has had Reiki 1 and 2 previously, so I believe she is offering it on her website if you are interested, and she is such a gifted healer. There are so many new opportunities and new ideas flowing, so if you are interested in booking a soul session with Jennifer and discovering more about her and what she offers, you can find her at jenniferengler.com. All of her information will be in the show notes. She is one of those souls that we know is going to change the world for so many people. Thank you, Jennifer, for all that you are and all that you do. If you want to book a session with the amazing and powerful Julie, check her out at soulseekerhypnosis.com. She's now offering Soul Circles, which is a private group hypnosis for past life discovery and much more. If you'd like to book with me, you can find me at soulfulstephanie.com. I'm currently working on a couple workshops that will be available on my site for download in the next few months. And be sure to hop on all of our email lists for any news and updates. And that's it for today's episode. Until next time, stay curious.
Stay mystical.